The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome to Court Radio. It's Dean Weitzman, and this is your hour to ask legal questions. We're going to be here from 7 to 8. Sit back and enjoy the show. If you've got legal questions, all you got to do is give us a call at 215-227-2727. That's My Philly Lawyer's number, but on Sunday mornings, it's Court Radio, 215-227-2727. Yes. I'm joined in the studio with a special guest host. You know her as Irena Shiloh. Good morning, Irena.
Good morning, Dean.
Irena came all the way down from Quakertown. My goodness. How long does it take you to get into the city now?
With no traffic and with speeding, 50 minutes.
50 minutes. There you go. And an admission that she broke the law there. Well, luckily for you, all the police are paying attention to the Pope's visit, so it's a good time, I suppose, to get down here in 50 minutes. So, you know, folks, when Irena's here on Court Radio, we're probably going to talk about family law issues because she's the associate at the office who does all the family law work. So if you've got child custody issues, if you've got support issues, if you just want to run proposals by her, this is your hour to do it. 215-227-2727. We're talking family law. But before we get there, Irena, I was just reading in the paper that Costco sued Tiffany's, the jewelry store, that store where you get little blue boxes of stuff, because at Costco there was diamond rings being sold. Do you know, at Costco, you buy a piece of meat there, but at the same time you can buy jewelry, real jewelry, and they were selling diamond rings, and they were calling it the solitaire engagement ring, and that is a trademark of Tiffany, the solitaire ring, and I think that. Costco fought them on it, and they lost. At this point, there's just now there's going to be a hearing on damages, but Costco is no longer allowed to sell a solitaire ring. That is a protected term for Tiffany's. This happens for us. I see it all the time. I think I'm going to start suing people. How many times have I seen somebody, they're your Philly lawyer or my Philly's lawyer, and they take the what we've created in a brand and they twist it just a little bit, but they're really clearly trying to just confuse the public so that they can grab some business off of the backs of somebody who's developed a brand. And that's the term or the standard or test that the courts use. Does it create confusion in the marketplace for the average consumer? Or do they know they're not dealing with the person or entity that has a right to that? Do they understand clearly that it's not the, my Philly lawyer, or that it's not, this is, because, when you go to Costco, there's a lot of products in there that are other stores, like I guess odd lots and things of that nature, like, they can't use it any longer, or it's been laying around too long, so they sell it at a place like Costco. So maybe, if I went in there, if I was buying a diamond ring at Costco, I might think, hey, this really was from Tiffany's, and I guess they had too many, and now they're selling them there. That's what happened, and yeah, well, you know what, Larry, you might be onto something. Legal services at Costco, discount legal services, like, 2-for-1 on a divorce. Or, if you have 5 kids and all 5 mothers are suing you for support, you can get a discount at Costco for your services.
Or a vending machine for legal services.
A vending machine. There you go. You put in 2 quarters and out comes a divorce. Why didn't I think of that? I think I spent, I don't know how much. I spent too much. All right. Well, anyway, let's talk to our first caller before I get myself into trouble. Ms. Bennett from West Philadelphia, who has a child in the DHS services. Good morning, Ms. Bennett. How are you?
Good morning. I heard about you. I heard you on the radio a lot of times. I'm glad to hear from you again. Nice to talk to you again.
Oh, well, it's good to have you back, Well, tell us a little bit about how the child ended up in DHS.
Here's what happened. I had a friend of mine. Somebody thought my friend did me wrong and told DHS I couldn't take care of her. I wasn't competent to care for her. Then they just came to the hospital and they came up to the hospital when she was a baby, a newborn, and took her out to the hospital.
Let me ask you something, Ms. Bennett. Ms. Bennett, how long has she been in DHS services?
Well, she's been in since she was a baby. She's 19 now, but they say she aged out of the system. They won't tell me where she at.
Yeah.
She got injured. She was in a daily foster home. I found her foster family.
See, what happens, Ms. Bennett, is that, first of all, your child, as admittedly you say, she's now 19 years old. So she's an adult. So she doesn't, now it's up to her. I mean, she gets to decide who finds her, who doesn't find her, et cetera, et cetera. And so that poses a problem. And I would presume if you didn't have the child since she was born, right from the hospital and out into DHS services, that after 19 years, at some point, many years ago probably, the parental rights were terminated. That's what I would presume, based on your story, that she was taken from the hospital from you 18, 19 years ago. You've never seen her since. You didn't have to pay support. You didn't, Department of Public Welfare didn't tag you for support. And therefore, I would presume that the parental rights were terminated a long time ago. And but as a general proposition, when a child enters the Department of Human Services, pipeline, can a parent be represented in that process? Just as a general proposition.
Yes, he can always be represented by a lawyer.
Okay, so if you can be represented in that process, and again, the standard in for children and where they go and with whom they go is always what's in the best interest of the child, and so a parent can have representation in that process to show the court that what's in the best interest of the child is that the natural parent participate in the child's life. And so, but after 19 years, Ms. Bennett, that ship unfortunately has sailed and your child is no longer a child. And whether you can find her, I mean, you hear stories where children are adopted. And the biological parent investigates and finds the child, and even when it's an adult, and puts puts it out there that they want to at least meet the child, and sometimes that happens. So I'm not ruling it out, but it's you'd have to almost hire a private investigator at that point to try to track down your child, and it probably is a time-consuming and therefore costly affair. But it's possible. It's possible. Thanks for calling Court Radio, Ms. Bennett. Have a great Sunday. Let's talk to Kevin from Winfield on line 2, Lar. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to Court Radio.
Oh, how are you feeling?
I got a little scratchy throat, but Irena's here, so that brightened my day. She's,
Yeah, it's a little windy outside.
Yeah.
Morning.
Yep. So, Kevin, what's your question for Irena?
I have a little situation, right? I have a daughter's mother. She has a couple other kids, right? But she has a kid by me who's about 5, and she's living down homeless. She's homeless right now, and she's down in Cumberland and American. And she don't want to give me the child because she has other children. And she said something like, it's better if she keeps the child with her and she can get better housing.
And your question is, how do you get your child?
Yeah.
You file a petition for custody, and you go to court. If the mother contests the petition, and maybe you will get it. There is a good chance that you will get the child if she's homeless, because even though how much the parent earns is not really determinative, it is relevant. If you live in the streets, obviously that's not good for the child. So file. Are you in Philly?
Yes.
Have you filed a petition for custody?
No, I didn't want to go through the courts because I'd rather her just, give it to me.
Yeah, but that doesn't sound like that's happening. So it's like at this point, Kevin, if you want your 5-year-old, the only way you're going to get your 5-year-old is to go through the courts.
Okay.
And, obviously, as an attorney, I'm going to tell you that your best shot is to retain counsel to do that. But it's possible for people to file on their own, correct?
Yes, it's possible.
Yeah. I think that the results are when we're personally involved in a case as a litigant, and and then you have to have the added job of representing yourself. I never think that that's a good idea. Even as a lawyer, if I had a legal issue, the better way to go about it is for me to have somebody represent me rather than me representing myself, because you lack the professional
proper wordings and things of that nature, huh?
Yeah. And so I would say that, if this is important to you, then you should retain counsel to file a petition on custody. But you have to serve the defendant, which is the baby's mother, with that petition so that she knows a hearing is coming up. And that might be a bit of a problem. If she's homeless, you have to actually find her.
Yeah. Well, she's living down Cumberland in American right now, and in the lot. Her and a couple other families.
So you know where she is, and you could serve her. That would be my advice. Get a petition filed, and let me tell you that again, you can do this on your own. But if you want our office to represent you in a family matter, all you have to do is give us a call during the week at 215-227-2727, and then you ask for Irena. Irena works out of the Northeast office, but that doesn't really matter. You're patched through our main number to the Northeast office, where she'll get some information and figure out how long it's going to take, what's involved, so she can quote a fee. And folks should realize that domestic relations, child custody, support, divorce, all of these types of representation through our office in any event is not for free. There's a fee charged for professional services, and that fee varies depending on what's involved in the case. The longer the time it takes, the more hearings there are, the larger the fee is. Can people get free representation somewhere?
They can get them at the legal aid offices, but they're very picky. They don't take everyone. It depends on your income. It depends on where you live. It depends on the services, conflict of interest, and other things. So most of the time, people don't get those services, but sometimes it happens. It's worth a call. If they call you back, you can talk to them and see if they... But there's a reason why people mostly use private attorneys, because not too many attorneys out there are willing to do anything for free, much like you don't go to Best Buy to get a phone or a TV for free, or you don't get your groceries for free, you don't get your rent or your utilities for free. So attorneys are not free.
Right. And so the bottom line is, I think if this is an important issue in your life, you spend the money, you get private counsel, and you know what? If what you're saying is true and she's living in a lot, I would believe that following a hearing, that child's living with you, and that you then are able to really raise this child and bring to bear a father who's loving her and a home where she's safe. But in order to do that, it's going to, there's time, money, and effort that you have to put into it. And the question is, how important is it? 215-227-2727. Kevin, thanks for calling Court Radio, and have a great Sunday. All right. Folks, if you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. 215-227-2727. That gets you into Court Radio, where you get a shot at asking your question for free this morning. But representation, especially in the domestic relations arena, there's costs involved. If you've got questions about that, now's the time to ask. All right, let's talk to Bob from Sharon Hill. Sharon Hill, Robert.
Hey, good morning.
Robert, good morning to you.
You always take a daughter with you, just like a briefcase. You always carry it with you.
Carry your daughter with you like a briefcase. There you go. Words, wisdom and words from Bob from Sharon Hill.
That's right.
So how long you been listening to Court Radio, Bob?
Oh, I guess about a year.
There you go. And why is it today? Is this your first call, or are you a serial caller?
I call you all the time. I like to listen a lot.
Okay, all right.
Interesting people that comes on there.
There you go. We had the police commissioner on last week.
That was me on there, Bob from Sharon Hill.
There you go. I thought I recognized that. He's a nice guy too. I hope all goes well when the Pope is in town. Do you think we're going to have problems when the Pope comes, or you think it'll go smoothly?
I think the biggest problem we're going to have is people not trying to get to where they're going.
Yeah, you can say that again. I'm thanking God that I have a Northeast office, because I'm going to hang up with Irena for a couple days and stay out of the city. That's, I can't even get into my office. I'm in the red zone. So it's like, I can walk. I can park at Temple and walk down from North Philly. But, I'm not about walking that distance right now.
Well, you can't see the Pope from your office, though, right?
Yeah, actually, from my office, you can see I have half a floor on the 14th floor of 2 Penn Center. So you can see forever. And yes, you can. I look out my window. I look out on City Hall. Okay. And so I can see the fountains and, all that stuff right from City Hall. And then the office sweeps all the way around. So you can see from parts of my office, you can see the Parkway. And so, yeah, I would think from my office, you could see the Pope. I could sell my office, to out-of-town visitors or something, and then let them live there for the 2 days. But that might not be a good idea. I don't think I'm allowed to under my lease, Bob.
Right,
Yeah.
but you know what? Most lawyers always have, well, I don't say lawyers, most attorneys
Yes, sir.
always have a good window shot in their office.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. I don't know. I have other lawyers that come through my office, to pay homage to my Philly, and they say, these other lawyers, that the view from my office is the most spectacular view they've ever seen. Just saying. All right, Robert. Come on. You're calling today for a reason. What's up?
I want to ask you a good question.
Go for
When
it.
you get so stacked up and you want to get out of some of your debt, what's the difference between Chapter 13 and Chapter 7, and how much do you have to pay back when you go do that? I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. You
I
think?
know.
Well, let me tell you something. You're going to have to wake up a lot earlier than 6 o'clock to stump me. Okay? When I was a little baby attorney, I actually did bankruptcies, and so I can tell you that a 7 is a liquidation. That means that if you have assets and you have debts, everything is wiped out, okay? And you might lose some assets in that process, maybe, depends, because there are some, you have some rights to hold on to certain assets, but your debt is completely wiped out. At the end of the day, there is no debt on a 7. On a 13, that's a payment plan. So they take your debt, let's say you have $60,000 in debt, and you get onto a payment plan. And it could last from as little as maybe a year or two all the way up to 5 years. And during that period of time, you don't pay any interest on your debt. And you pay regular payments to the trustee. And then the trustee divvies that out to your debtors. And then you keep all your property and you pay this debt down. And it's possible in a 13 that you might owe $60,000, but because of how much property you have and whatnot, where you only pay a percentage of it. And so maybe you pay $30,000 of $60,000 in debt, and over the course of 4 or 5 years, you pay it off and you're done. And the part that was unsecured, the difference between your full debt, 60, say, and what you ended up paying back, 30, that's gone as well. So you don't owe anything after you've paid these payments. But on a 7, you don't make any payments. Your debt is wiped out. Now, that is a general answer. There are some nuances and specifics to people that are different for every person. For instance, you might even have secured debt. Let's say you have a mortgage. Ordinarily, somebody would say, well, in a mortgage, you got to pay it or risk losing the property. Well, I've seen cases where if you're really upside down, and what I mean by that term is that let's say you owe $100,000 on your mortgage, but the property's only worth $80,000. So it's over mortgaged by $20,000. Well, they might wipe that $20,000 out, and so that you only have to pay back the $80,000. And so there's, each case is different. But again, the general answer is a 7, debt is wiped out, and a 13, you make payments over a period of time. Robert from Sharon Hill, God bless you. Stay on the line. Have you gotten a T-shirt from us yet, Robert?
Yeah, but I couldn't fit it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. You got to go on a diet. Weight Watchers, Robert. Not to jump on the bandwagon, but we all need a little help sometimes. Even I, need to lose a few pounds. We have double X's, okay? I haven't gone to the triple and quadruple X's. I just, I don't know. Maybe this time around. I'm not sending you a T-shirt because I'm not going to have you looking at it and wondering when you're going to be able to fit into it. But what I'm going to do is because you're such a regular caller and you give me such love on Sunday mornings, I'm going to consider getting what size you need. Quadruple X, 5X, what do you need? A tent? What? Just tell 5X.
5X.
Okay. He needs 5X, Larry, he needs 5X. Larry said, good. Thumbs up on the 5X. We're going to consider getting a 5X T-shirt for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
I might bring you into the studio wearing your 5X T-shirt so we can get a shot of you, okay?
My man.
All right, Robert, take care. Thanks for calling Core Radio.
Thank you for being on the radio.
All right, buddy. 215-227-2727. We got Irena Shiloh in the studio. Irena is the associate at court at, My Philly Lawyer. That's right. At My Philly Lawyer that does the domestic relations. So let's talk to Mar from Norristown. Is that a name? Mar? Mar?
Yes, I'm here.
Is that your name? M-A-R? Mar?
It was Marsha.
Marsha.
Yes, good morning to you.
Were you like, did you watch the Bradys? The Brady family? Wasn't there a Marsha Brady in that show?
Yes.
I think.
And I get Marsha all the time.
See, there you go. All right, what's your question?
Yes, my question is to you. My husband, he has two other children outside of the marriage, and his one daughter now, I think she's 22. She's finished college and everything. The other child now, he'll be 18 in November, and he's been supporting them. And the mother's telling him now that she believes that she's going to keep him in school until he's 21, which he's had a problem with attending school within like the last 3 years, you know. And my husband is under the impression that she's trying to prolong the support, you know. And she's been telling him, you know, get him set up in job fair where he goes away from home, you know, to see that he'll try to go out and get some kind of vocational skill or something. And
So hold on just a second, Marcia. When you say he's in school, you're talking about high school or vocational school?
High school.
Okay.
High school. But he doesn't attend school as he's supposed to. He goes and he'll come home, you know, and it's been a consistent problem that's been going on for the last 3 years. So my husband is under the impression that she's trying to prolong the support until he's 21. So I just wanted to know, you know, what
your husband should file a petition to terminate the support order and then go to court and explain to the support master what's going on, what he thinks is going on. The master will look at evidence and decide whether your husband should continue to pay support or not. If one of the parties doesn't like the decision, the case will go before a judge. I do understand your question that she's doing it on purpose. The thing is, it doesn't matter whether we do things on purpose or not. The thing is, the issue is, does the child really attend high school?
Yes, but the thing is they don't have any kind of court order. There was an agreement that was made between them. There's no court order.
Well, in that case, he can just stop paying. But then the mother can file for support and state that he is still in high school, or she, the daughter.
But if he doesn't attend and there's been a problem, you know, within the school district that he's in, knowing that he doesn't attend school the way that he's supposed to.
Okay, but if you don't have a support order, then what's stopping him from just stopping the support? He can just stop paying.
No, I just called in just to get, I mean, I realize that he's not responsible, but I just wanted to make sure that it's something that he does not have to continue with, which I think we both understand that he doesn't, but just wanted to know because the mother is saying, oh, you know, I'm going to keep him in school till he's 21. And he's like, 21? Who goes to school until they're 21, you know?
Well, some people do if they're dropping and then going back. It's a really fact-sensitive issue. He should just stop paying the support if he thinks the child is not going to school.
And he has no legal obligation in the sense that there's no currently pending order. When there is a pending order, then you need to get a court to give you permission to stop honoring that order, even when it's like when everybody acknowledges that the child is over 18 and the child is out of school. Can you just stop it? Can you just stop paying?
No, you still have to file for termination.
You must file for termination even when all the parties agree that it is rightful to terminate. You have, when it's an order of the court that establishes the obligation, it must be an order of the court that terminates it. Marcia, in your case, there is no order of the court, and therefore he can just stop. And if mom thinks that it is, if the child's mother thinks that it is an obligation that must still be honored, she can bring him into court for a petition to bring support. Thanks for calling Court Radio. Okay. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you very much.
All right. We got Brian from Northeast Philly who's got a custody and visitation issue. Brian, welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning, guys. It's a great show. I really enjoy listening to you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm going through, I'm dealing with a very vindictive ex-girlfriend that we were living together, and we have a 5-month-old daughter who's the love of my life, and she PFA'd me to get me out of the house and tried to get a PFA for my daughter's sake as well. That was denied. And I haven't seen my daughter in a month. I filed for an emergency custody thing, expedited custody hearing. That's 2.5 months away, not until November 13th. So in the meantime, I'm not seeing my daughter. I was advised by my attorney to go pick her up at daycare and take her overnight. But I'm scared to death because I don't want cops coming to my house. I don't want bring that type of behavior around my daughter. And I'm scared with the PFA because her mom works like 5 minutes down the street. What the daycare could do. I had a great relationship with these people, but who knows what she said to them.
Wait.
And,
Did you say that there is currently in force a protection from abuse order by the court?
For my ex-girlfriend, for me to stay away, correct.
For you to stay away from
Temporary.
your ex-girlfriend, not from the baby.
Yeah, correct. She
Okay.
tried to get it for the baby's sake, but it was denied.
Okay. So there's no PFA against you and the child. There is one against you and your ex-girlfriend. The baby goes to daycare, and you said the baby's 5 months old?
Yes.
Okay. And so the question is, do we agree with the advice to go take the baby from daycare?
Correct. And how will I do it without getting arrested? Like I don't want to go there. And say,
Well, I don't know that you're subject to being arrested if you're the child's father and you haven't broken any laws. But the question is that the best way in this instance? If you've got 2.5 more months and the baby's so young at this point, you have 2.5 more months. Does it? I mean, I know it makes a difference to you, but does it make a difference to the relationship between you and the child to wait 2.5 months and have a court order in that instance? If I were you, okay, I wouldn't go to the daycare and snatch the baby.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I would. I would wait the 2.5 months and have your hearing and do it the right way. I just don't think it's. I don't know that you would be subject to being arrested, but I don't think. But I do think that it could cause a very uncomfortable situation with your child if there's a fight breaking out and your ex-girlfriend's at your apartment and she's screaming and the police are coming, and the police are coming just to figure out if anything is wrong here, okay? It may take them a while to figure out that you are the biological father. There is no order preventing you from having the child, so they really probably can't get involved. Then she, your ex-girlfriend, probably would run to the court to get an emergency order, and maybe she'd be successful in getting that emergency order, in which case now the baby has to be released back to her. All that aggravation, all to prevent, a 2-month wait where I don't see any reason why you're not going to get some visitation and participate in this child's life beginning 2 months from now.
Right. I'm not going away. I love my daughter, so...
if you love your daughter and there's any chance or possibility that this could be harmful in the sense of, creating upheaval and a trauma to her, then why do it?
I agree.
It's 2.5 months. I'm not happy with that advice.
Well, also what you can do is call us tomorrow and maybe we can negotiate the visitation with your ex-girlfriend. Sometimes people just need to be a little scared by telling them, well, he will get the visitation and this is not going to look good in front of the judge when the judge hears that you have something against the father and you're mixing your feelings for him, and as you said, she's vindictive. So that sometimes works. We negotiate too. We don't just go to court.
All right. Thank you for... Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I actually have an attorney. She sent her attorney a letter asking for representation or asking for me to see the baby. They had not responded, so that's when my attorney said, go just pick your daughter up, keep her overnight, and then bring her back.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that advice. I'm not crazy about that advice. I don't think, that's the best way to do this. That's all. But you know what? That's why they have apples and oranges. But, you're... Obviously, you're not comfortable with that advice either because you're calling us to kind of double check on it. So, all right, have a great Sunday. Give us a call and let us know how things work out for you.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All right. 215-227-2727. Folks, we want to keep on taking callers, and we will as soon as we get back, but we got to do these announcements first.
You were just hurt. It's not your fault. You're in physical pain. How do you get better? Who is going to help you recover? West Philadelphia Associates has highly trained doctors and staff that can help you today. Don't wait at a hospital. West Philadelphia Associates will work with your attorney, providing documentation of all injuries and the best plan for treatment to get you back to the life you deserve. With diagnostic studies to better detect injuries, West Philadelphia Associates doctors and staff will help you recover. West Philadelphia Associates, here to help you get better because you deserve it. Call 215-471-4714.
For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia.
If you or a loved one has been the victim of a medical mistake or misdiagnosis, you know what matters. Getting proper care matters. Providing for your family matters. Your attorney matters. I'm Dean Weitzman. For more than 30 years, My Philly Lawyer has been holding hospitals and insurance companies accountable for medical errors. Let us fight for you. Call 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most.
If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first at 215-227-2727 for personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, and more. Call Dean first.
He will fight for your rights. That's what Dean Weitzman is all about.
Call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first. 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back, Court Radio listeners. Thank you for listening. If you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. All you got to do is give us a call at 215-227-2727. All right. There you go. And we're going to wait for the explosion. And I'm joined in studio with my special co-host. There it is. Kaboom. Special co-host, Irena Shiloh. Good morning and welcome back.
Good morning.
Irena, I have a couple questions for you, and then we'll take calls. But before we do any of that, let me say hi to James from Northeast Philly on line 4, Lar. Hello? Hello? James? James on line 4. It's your last chance. This is James. James!
I was up to your office the other week ago, and I didn't get a chance to meet you.
Well...
You were sitting in the back room, and I didn't get a chance to meet you when I was up there 2 weeks ago.
Well, I apologize. Are you going to be back again coming through My Philly Lawyer's offices?
Yeah, I will be coming back in about another week.
Well, when you do, just call ahead. Make sure that the head of My Philly Lawyer is actually going to be there, because I love to meet my clients. And so the next time you're in town, I will make a special effort to see you, James, okay? And good morning. Hey, whoa. Did you get a T-shirt when you were up at the office of a court?
No, I didn't get a T-shirt because I was in the conference room. I didn't get a T-shirt when I was up at the office maybe about 2 weeks ago.
All right, stay on the line, James, and we're going to get Monica to get your address, and we'll get you a T-shirt.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a client. All right. 215-227-2727. So let me ask you a question, because Monica brought something up, and I think it's a common misconception. When I started practicing law in Pennsylvania and you had a child support obligation and your child ended up going to college, that child support obligation continued through all 4 years of college. Is that still the law in Pennsylvania?
No, that law was repealed. Now it's considered unconstitutional to force a parent to pay for his child's or her child's college, because not everybody has to go to college. So the logic was, why should kids of divorced parents have to go to college and somebody has to have the obligation to pay for it when kids from intact marriages don't have to go to college?
Right. Well, or kids from intact marriages can go to college, but nothing forces their parents to have to pay.
Right. You can actually put it in the child support agreement if you have an agreement, but that becomes then an agreement between the parents, just like any other contract between parents. For example, as a part of a divorce process, you can say, well, you keep the house, but then you have to pay for college. So in that case, the court will enforce it, has enforced a contract like that. But you will not normally go to a child support hearing and be ordered to pay for your child's college. And if you do, you will not get credit for that.
If you do what? If you do pay, you don't get credit. Well,
for example, if you have savings in advance and you're saying, I have $20,000 to pay for his college, I should get credit for that. You're not going to get credit for that.
So you have no legal obligation to pay for college, but if you choose to pay, it's a gift to your child, and you're not going to have a reduced support obligation prior to the child becoming 18 in light of the fact that you're making some payments for college.
Correct.
Now, that's different, though. I mean, we're in a tri-state area. That's different than the law in New Jersey. In New Jersey, you absolutely have an obligation currently, although it is being fought through the courts, but you have an obligation in New Jersey to pay child support through college. So, laws, most laws that folks have to deal with in their lives are state-based laws, and they change from state to state. Now, here's another question I have for you. If you have a child support obligation, okay, I'm paying child support, and I get a raise, does that mean every time I get a raise, I got to pay more child support?
Probably. Every time you get a raise, the other parent can file for child support to get an increase. It would still depend on whether if your custody arrangement didn't change, if the other parent's income didn't change, but you got a raise, if it's a significant raise, not if it's, I don't know, if it goes from $5,000 a month to $5,100 a month, that's probably not a significant enough change. But yes, if you change your job, if you change your income up or down, if you change your address, you have to report those changes within 7 days. So if you do have a support order and something has changed, you have to report it or risk to actually have to be found in contempt of the court order.
Okay. And what's involved with a mom filing to get, well, I shouldn't say that. Okay, maybe I'm being sexist. Because it's not always a mom who has the obligation or a dad who has the obligation. But what is involved with a parent who wants to go in and get a modification? How do they do that?
You can retain us, or you can go to, if it's in Philadelphia, you can go to 1501 Arch Street and ask for the papers there and file for modification. The filing itself is not a big problem. You don't have to explain at length why you're asking, although you have to state something. For example, my income has changed, or I lost my job, or the custody arrangement has changed. But then you probably need an attorney for the conference.
And where is the first conference? At what, do you go right to a judge?
No, you go before a support master. And the support master is a lawyer who is employed by the court. In Philadelphia, it's on the 13th floor. You go there with your evidence, and the master hears the evidence, looks at the papers that you bring, your pay stubs, your tax returns, and decides whether you should pay child support and how much you should pay.
Does that master have the right to create an order at that moment, even if the parties don't agree?
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, there is. In Philadelphia, yes. In like in Montgomery County, you can, if you don't agree, you go. Actually, you first go before a support officer who is not even a lawyer. And if you don't agree, then you go before a master, and then the master can create. In Philadelphia, the procedure is slightly shorter, and they're actually more thorough than in Montgomery County. They look at everything, and they decide whether there should be a deviation from the statutory formula or not.
And there is a formula. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Shanae from Northeast Philly, who has a child support issue. Hi, Shanae. Welcome to Court Radio.
Hi. Thank you. I have a question. My question is, I was with my child's father when he has other kids, and his other children, his mother took him for child support, and he agreed to give her almost 50% of his income. Well, me and him recently separated because he became very violent, and I had, separated from him. Before then, prior to that, I was, trying to break it off with him. He threatened to quit his job and said, I'm not going to pay any more child support, which he did. He ended up quitting his job, early in the year. So when I went for child support recently, when they did all this stuff, he's like, he went back to work recently, like a couple months ago, and they said based off of his income that he could only give me $300 a month. When last year he brought in $80,000 a month, and now I'm only getting $300, which doesn't even cover our daycare expenses. And being as though I work as well, I know that they had to add everything up, and they end up taking 60% of my income into account. And I'm just wondering, is there anything that I could do? Because he said he talked to his lawyer, and he's like, there's no point in fighting it. You're not going to get any more than that. And I'm like, he purposely quit his job and took a lesser paying job, and he went from full-time to being pool. And is there anything I can do, because he's doing this to be spiteful to me, so he doesn't have to pay me anything because of me, kicking him out my house, for the domestic violence that happened.
Well, it sounds like you already went to court and it was decided.
We went to mediation. We didn't we went to the first sit down where we didn't agree, and so they set up another court date for us so we could actually, bring proof and things like that. But he's telling me that I'm wasting my time because I'm not going to be able to get any more. This is what he says.
For child support purposes, it's earning capacity that matters. It's not really how much you make after you decide to quit your job just to avoid paying child support. So if you work as a neurosurgeon and you decide to quit your job and start working at a rock band as a drum player, then you will still be held at your earning capacity from before, because it was your voluntary decision to quit your well-paid job. So in his case, if he really quit his job just to stop paying child support, which you can't really prove. It's one thing what people tell us, another thing what actually happens and what you can prove in court. If he actually works and he claims he doesn't work, we don't do investigation. We're not private investigators. We deal with the evidence that you bring. If you can show me that he is actually working but saying he's not working, I can present that in court. But if we can't just follow people around to prove and take pictures of them to prove that they're working.
So, evidence that he quit his job might be a letter. And I'm not saying you can get this, but it might be a letter from his employer saying that he voluntarily surrendered his job. Or maybe it's a coworker who says, hey, he quit his job. Nobody has been laid off or fired at that job. And, so there has to be some evidence other than your hearsay evidence, like your presumption. I mean, I guess if you walked in and said, he told me he quit his job to avoid having to pay child support, that's evidence. Whether that will be enough evidence to carry the day, it remains to be seen.
I mean, well, when he actually went back to the same job, but he went back at school. He quit his job and then went back at school, so he no longer gets the medical benefits, so he doesn't have to pay for medical insurance. I have to pay for that. And now that that he quit, he wasn't working for a long time, and so I went for child support. So they said, being as though his yearly amount that he made makes it look like he doesn't make that much. But he works at the same job. He just works as
How I understand. How old is he?
He's 40.
Okay.
40 years old.
So, and how old's the child?
My daughter's will be 2 next month.
Okay,
and
so
he has like a college degree. He works as an RN, so it's not like he works at like a store where it takes you. He's been doing this, been a nurse for over 20 years, and he's supposed to get like a certain amount each month. But I don't know if I don't know what happened, and I'm just trying to figure out because $300 a month doesn't even cover my daughter's daycare, let alone her diapers.
Well, let me ask you something, Irena. Usually is there a support obligation and then additional obligation based on child care?
Yes, the child care can be added.
So you might pay a support obligation, but if there's additional child care needs, then that would be on top of the formula or on top of your basic child support obligation.
Correct. But I think her problem is that he quit his well-paying job and went back to school. So she's saying, well, his first obligation is to support his child and then go back to school and chase his ambition. And she's actually correct. This is the rule. You first have an obligation to support your children, and then you can chase your career, you can change your jobs, you can go back to school. So even though he is in school, he still has an obligation. But if the court decided that this is $300 a month, then there must have been a reason for that. If it's not fair, she can appeal.
Yeah, well, but she's not at the appellate process yet. Shanae, you're making a decision based on something that this guy who you had a violent relationship with and who leaves his job so he doesn't have to support his kid. You're basing your decision on what he says as to whether you should pursue this claim or not. And it seems to me that that's the last person whose advice you should be listening to. You got to pursue your claim. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you won't know that until you pursue it. And so I would say you're on the right track. Keep going. If you need representation, if you need advice, you can give us a call during the week at 215-227-2727. If you have representation, then stay with your lawyer and continue along. But you're investing in 16 years. You can't let this go. In other words, your child's only 2. You've got 16 years of support. You've got to put up a strong offense now. And if it doesn't work, you've got to continue to bring him back into the court on a regular basis if circumstances change. If he gets more hours, if he gets a better paying job. If it doesn't work this time, you bring him back again. And you've got to continue to invest some time and money in legal representation in order to pursue your daughter's rightful claim. It's her claim to support. Yes, it helps you, but it's her claim to support, and you're representing her. And I wish you well on it. And again, if you need representation, feel free to give us a call, as always, at 215-227-2727. Thanks for calling us today.
Thank you.
All right, be well. This is tough stuff for people, It's like it's the rare case where two parties come together. They agree. There's no fighting. They pay what they're obligated and legally entitled to receive, and they move on with their lives. That doesn't happen too often.
Yes, it doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's try Natalie. Natalie from Alany. How are you? And welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning. I'm calling in reference to I have a 13-year-old child, and my daughter's father, we already went to court and we established custody. And since May of this year, he has not, I don't want to say sent her home because she's mature enough to come home on her own, but she's not coming home. So since May, I haven't seen my daughter but 1 week since May. And I'm going back and forth to the district trying to get the police to help me to get her from his home, but they will not assist me into getting her. And I do have a lawyer, and we're back and forth in court, but it's not working. He's just refusing to allow my daughter to come home. He's saying that he's not keeping her, but he's not encouraging her to come home. So I don't know what to do. I do have a lawyer, but it just don't seem like anything is working out. We went to court in July, and the judge did not, he threw the case out of his courtroom, and they rescheduled us for October.
What is the current custody arrangement? What's the order?
I'm sorry?
The current order that he's violating, what is it?
Okay, so during the school year, she comes home. During
Who has primary?
Sunday. Neither one. We have shared custody because I was working overnights and I changed my shifts since that time so that I can get her during the evening. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, she goes to his house from 7 p.m. and I see her the next day after she gets out of school. So she gets home from school about 4:30. He picks up at 7:30.
Okay, so you have 50-50, but she's not coming to your house, and he's saying that she doesn't want to. Okay, is there any reason why she doesn't want to see you?
Well, it's weird because all her life, she's 13, she's lived with me, or I'm her primary care parent at this point. A year ago, he decided to come back into her life. He stepped out of her life for 3 years. We separated 6 years ago. So for the first 3 years, he was in her life. Then he picked up and he left for 3 years. Last year, he came back, and he decided, to take me to court because he tried to get me to allow her to come see her. And I didn't mind, but he would not bring her back at a reasonable time. If he said Sunday, he wouldn't bring her back. And, let's say he picked up Friday. He's supposed to bring her Sunday. He wouldn't bring her home.
Okay, so it sounds like your daughter is the typical teenager who thinks that there could be a better life elsewhere. And where else than at her father's household, a father who hasn't really been there for her. From the psychological viewpoint, maybe you should let her see that it's not always the best to abandon your mother and go elsewhere. But from the legal point of view, you can fight it in court. You can ask for partial custody. Instead of 50-50, you can just ask for partial custody. And then and you can also ask for counseling. The court may order counseling.
The bottom line is that this is a process, and it doesn't end immediately. And sometimes it doesn't go your way initially, but eventually it does, and you have to continue to pursue it as you are diligently. With that, we have to unfortunately close out because we only have an hour. 215-227-2727. Folks, if you've got legal issues with regard to custody, child support, divorce, alimony, Irena Shiloh is your woman. All you got to do is give her a call at our number, 215-227-2727, and she'll be able to help you bring your life back to order. All right, that's it. We're out. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years.
If you've been injured, the road to recovery can seem long. At United Therapy Centers, we're here to help. Call us 877-510-7764. With leading-edge technology and our team approach, we provide the highest level of patient care with a pain management program developed just for you. If you've been injured, we can help. Call United Therapy Centers toll-free 877-510-7764. United Therapy Centers, get on the road to recovery.
If back and neck pain keep you from enjoying life, find the relief you need in the hands of Dr. James Brady. Dr. Brady has been providing gentle chiropractic care in the Philadelphia area for over 30 years, helping thousands avoid surgery, reduce pain and pain medication, and recover more quickly. Call 215-245-1000 to make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations. Dr. James Brady Chiropractic Centers. Gentle chiropractic care.
If you've been in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, you know what matters. Being able to afford medical care, providing for your family while you're out of work, knowing your rights, and getting just compensation. These things matter. That's why your attorney matters.